My name's Elena Santos, and I'm 35, living in a small rented cottage on the jagged coast of Maine where the air smells like salt and pine. I'm a project manager at a nonprofit pushing sustainable fisheries. The kind of job that keeps you up late crunching numbers, but feels worth it when you see the harbor thrive. I'm not one for drama. Never have been. But I've always been the one who gets things done. Growing up in Boston, I was the kid who organized the family's chaotic Thanksgivings, made sure the bills got paid when my parents forgot, and bailed my younger brother Leo out of every mess he stumbled into. I moved to Maine 5 years ago for a quieter life, dreaming of opening a little cafe where locals could swap stories over lobster rolls and coffee. But family has a way of pulling you back, no matter how far you go. It was a chilly morning. My laptop opened to an unpaid invoice for $12,500, my deposit for a cliffside estate just outside Bar Harbor, booked for Leo's wedding to Clara Thorne, the golden boy of a local real estate dynasty. My tea sat cold next to me, steam long gone, when my phone buzzed. A text from my mom's number, signed by both her and Dad. "Hey, sweetie, we're thinking it's best if you watch Leo's wedding online. With all the guests and Clara's family, seating's tight, and it might get messy. No offense. Hope you're okay with it." I read it 3 times, each word sinking like a stone. They didn't say don't come, but they didn't need to. It was clear. I wasn't part of the picture they wanted to paint. I'd spent months planning this wedding, picking the venue, wiring deposits, coordinating vendors, all while working 50-hour weeks. But to them, I was just a complication. Better off streaming from my couch. I didn't cry. I don't anymore. Not since I learned tears don't fix what's already broken. Instead, I stared at the invoice, my name in bold under payer, and felt something shift. I wasn't just the sister who made things happen. I was the sister they assumed would keep doing it, no questions asked. Leo, my charming, reckless brother, was always the star. At 30, he's got that easy smile that makes people forgive him for everything. Failed art school, maxed out credit cards, a string of bad decisions I quietly cleaned up. This wedding was supposed to be his big moment, tying the knot with Clara, whose family owns half the waterfront in Bar Harbor. My parents, Camilla and Arthur, retired teachers with a knack for chasing status, saw it as their ticket to the local elite. And me, I was the one who made sure the show could go on until they decided I didn't belong on stage. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. I've been the family safety net for as long as I can remember. When Leo flunked out of art school in Providence, I drove him to interviews at a community college near Boston, paid his application fees, and coached him on how to explain his gap year without sounding like a dropout. When Mom had her knee replacement, I took 2 weeks off work, flew home, and played nurse, stocking the fridge, sorting her meds, even repainting their porch because Dad said it looked shabby. When their savings took a hit after Dad's side hustle as a motivational speaker tanked, I wired them $15,000 for my cafe fund. No strings attached. I didn't ask for thanks. I just wanted them to be okay. But Leo, he'd post a selfie with Mom and Dad, caption it "Family Forever," and rack in likes while I got a sore back from scrubbing their floors. This wedding was no different. Leo and Clara wanted a perfect Maine affair, clifftop views, fairy lights strung across a cedarwood pergola, a raw bar with fresh oysters. It was way over budget. Clara's parents chipped in a token amount, enough to look generous, without actually helping. Mom and Dad were between things, as they always are. So, I stepped up. I found the estate, negotiated a discount with the owner, and put down the deposit in my name. I spent nights on the phone with vendors, locking in a local band, a florist for Leo's peony obsession, even a shuttle service for guests. Leo didn't sweat it. He never does. He'd text me a quick, "You're the best, sis," and go back to planning his bachelor party. Mom would say, "You're so good at this, Selena." But it felt more like a pat on the head than gratitude. I kept going because that's who I am, the one who doesn't let things fall apart. But the cracks were there. I wasn't invited to the engagement party, just asked to send a gift. When I offered to help with the guest list, Leo laughed it off. "You're not great with people-wise stuff, Elena." Clara, and I got this with Mom. I've managed teams through million-dollar grants, but apparently I wasn't cut out for table assignments. I swallowed it, kept working, kept paying. The florists thanked me for my quick responses. The band sent me a playlist draft. I built a planning portal, timelines, contracts, the works, so everyone could stay on track. I thought I was part of it, even if I wasn't in the spotlight. I was wrong. The first real cut came when I noticed I wasn't in the wedding party group chat. I figured it was an oversight. Leo's not exactly organized, so I texted him to add me. He replied, "Oh, it's mostly for Clara's crew and the groomsmen. You're good, right?" I wasn't, but I nodded to my phone screen and moved on. Then came the email from a planner, a woman named Tessa I'd been emailing for months. She asked about a change in the lighting setup. And when I said I wasn't sure, she sounded confused. "I thought you were running point on production?" I had been until I wasn't. Leo and Clara had taken over with Mom's input, and no one told me. I offered to help with the photo schedule, but Mom brushed it off. "Wear something nice. Maybe navy. You always look good in navy." It wasn't a compliment. It was a dismissal. The real sting hit at Leo's bachelor brunch, a pre-wedding event I wasn't invited to, but showed up for anyway. I'd flown in, booked my own hotel, and brought the custom whiskey glasses Leo forgot to order for the groomsmen. I stood there clutching the box, expecting a wave or a smile. Instead, I watched them laugh over mimosas. Mom in a matching scarf with Clara's mom, Leo grinning like a kid. The photos went up online that night. Everyone in crisp linens, toasting under a floral arch. I was in one shot, half hidden behind a waiter, untagged. The caption read, "Leo's Dream Team." I wasn't on the team. I was the one making sure the team had a field to play on. Then Maggie, my assistant at work, forwarded an email she wasn't supposed to see. It was from Tessa, the planner, to Mom, confirming the photo lineup. "Please ensure Elena isn't in the front row shots. Leo and Clara want a clean family look." No discussion, no explanation, just a directive. I sat on my couch that night, staring at the ceiling, trying to pinpoint the last time any of them asked how I was. I couldn't. I'd been fading from their story for years. But this was the first time it felt like they'd written me out entirely. That email from Maggie changed something in me. It wasn't rage. Rage is loud. And I've never been loud. It was a quiet, slicing humiliation. Like realizing you're the only one at a party who didn't get an invite. I'd been pouring my time, my money, my heart into this wedding. And they didn't even want me in the frame. I didn't confront them. I didn't call Leo or text Mom. I just stopped. I stopped checking the planning portal, stopped answering vendor emails, stopped pretending I was part of it. I sat in my cottage, the wind howling off the Atlantic, and let the weight of it settle. I wasn't going to beg for a seat at a table they'd already set without me. The next week, I skipped Leo's final suit fitting, the one I'd scheduled and paid for. No one texted to ask where I was. I logged into the florist's portal, where I'd secured those out-of-season peonies Leo loved, and changed the contact to his email with a note. "Please direct all queries to the groom." I did the same for the band, the shuttle service, the caterer. I wasn't burning bridges. I was just handing them the map and walking away. I kept screenshots, though. Every email, every payment confirmation, every thank you from vendors for my efficiency. I wasn't sure why I needed them, but something told me to hold on. That night, I posted a story on Instagram. A single photo of my kitchen table set for one, with a cup of chamomile tea and an empty chair across from it. No caption, just silence. Maggie replied with a heart emoji. She got it. I deleted the shared calendar invite for the wedding weekend, the one I'd created to keep everyone on track. No one resent it. No one noticed. I sat there, the glow of my laptop the only light in the room, and felt the first flicker of something new. Not freedom, not yet, but the start of letting go. The days before the wedding blurred into a strange calm. I didn't cancel my hotel booking in Bar Harbor. I just didn't pack. I stopped checking the planning portal, which I later learned had locked me out anyway. Leo's final vendor payments were due, and I didn't remind him. I didn't call the caterer to confirm the raw bar or the band to finalize their set list. I'd been the one holding the threads together, and now I was done weaving. I spent my evenings walking the rocky shore near my cottage, the crash of waves louder than the thoughts circling my head. I wasn't angry. I was tired. Tired of being the scaffolding for a family that didn't see me. A few days before the rehearsal dinner, Leo posted a photo from his final fitting, him and Clara in tailored suits, Mom beaming beside them. The caption thanked everyone making this day perfect. My name wasn't there. I wasn't surprised, but it still stung, a dull ache I didn't want to name. I opened my laptop and saw the venue invoice still blinking unpaid. I closed it, poured a glass of wine, and sat on my porch, watching the lighthouse blink in the distance. I was done carrying their weight. Maggie noticed the shift at work. She didn't pry, just slid a coffee across my desk one morning and said, "You seem lighter." I smiled, not sure if she was right. I wasn't lighter, not yet, but I was starting to feel the space where their expectations used to sit. By the time the wedding weekend rolled around, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to watch it online. I wasn't going to watch it at all. The morning of Leo's wedding, I drove 3 hours to Acadia National Park, where the cliffs dropped sharp into the sea and the cell signal drops to nothing. I packed a thermos of coffee, a worn copy of the shipping news, and a blanket. I didn't check my phone. I didn't want to know. I sat on a rocky outcrop, the wind tangling my hair, and let the world feel bigger than my family's mess. For the first time in months, I wasn't planning, paying, or fixing. I was just there, breathing. Back in Bar Harbor, the wedding was unraveling. Maggie filled me in later, her emails pinging through once I got back to Signal. The florist called Leo at dawn. My credit card, the one on file, wasn't covering the peonies because I'd removed it. The band canceled when their final payment bounced. The shuttle vans never showed, leaving guests to carpool on dusty back roads. The estate stayed open, but the $12,500 balance loomed unpaid. The worst was the tent. Clara's parents thought it was handled, but it wasn't. Tessa, the planner, scrambled, but the supplier wouldn't budge without cash up front. Leo and Clara had blown their budget on custom signage and party favors, leaving nothing for the essentials. Guests arrived to a half-baked scene. Folding chairs on uneven grass, no flowers, no music, just a makeshift altar under a cloudy sky. Someone tried to save it with a Bluetooth speaker, but it died after one song. Leo's face, Maggie said, was a mix of fury and panic. Mom had a meltdown, yelling at Tessa in front of guests. By noon, people started leaving, muttering about poor planning. There was no live stream. Tessa hadn't paid for it. Leo posted one photo that night, him and Clara in a field, caption "Vows under the stars, just us." It was a desperate spin, and the comments were brutal. Where was the wedding? What happened to the tent? I read Maggie's emails from a diner in Ellsworth, a greasy burger in front of me. I didn't smile, but I didn't hurt either. I'd let go of the rope, and they'd tripped over it. It wasn't revenge. It was just what happens when you stop holding up a house that never had your name on the deed. 3 days after the wedding, I was back in my cottage, a book open on my lap when the doorbell rang. Through the glass, I saw Mom and Dad, Camilla in a pressed blazer, Arthur in his usual khakis, both looking like they'd rehearsed a speech. I didn't move right away. "Elena, sweetie, can we come in?" Mom called, her voice tight. I opened the door but stayed in the frame. "I've got 10 minutes, I said. They stepped inside, glancing around my sparse living room. A single armchair, a driftwood shelf, a photo of me kayaking solo off Acadia. "We're not here to point fingers," Dad started, hands in his pockets. "We just want to clear the air." Mom jumped in. "It was a stressful time, Elena." Leo was overwhelmed. The planner dropped the ball. "It wasn't about you." I didn't nod, didn't speak. Dad sighed. "The way it looked, though, it's got Leo and Clara in a tough spot. Clara's parents are embarrassed. If you could just say you had a work thing or wanted to give them space, it would help." They weren't sorry. They wanted damage control. I glanced at Maggie, who'd stopped by to drop off some work files. She set a folder on my counter, printouts of every vendor email, every payment I'd made, and gave me a nod before slipping out. Mom noticed. "That's your assistant?" she asked, confused. I nodded. Silence hung heavy. That night, a text came from Aunt Nora, who runs a lobster shack in Boothbay and always had my back. Don't drag this out, Elena. It's messy enough. Let's move forward. No apology. No, how are you? Even she wanted it buried. I stared at the message, the hurt sharper than I expected. If even Nora couldn't say it out loud, what was I holding on to? I didn't reply to Nora. I didn't write the statement Mom and Dad wanted. I didn't show up to Leo's last-minute post-wedding dinner, a text invite that came 4 days late. We missed you. Let's reconnect. I was done with their story, one where I was a footnote they could erase when it suited them. At work, Maggie helped me clear my calendar of anything tied to the wedding. She didn't ask questions, just renamed the folder Closed, Not Forgotten, and moved it to an archive. I smiled for the first time in weeks. I started collecting pieces of the life I wanted. I drove to a Portland antiques market one Sunday, not looking for anything specific, just wandering. I found a small Oak Place card holder, weathered but sturdy, with room for 2 names. I bought it, took it home, and slid in a single slip of paper, reserved, not forgotten. I set it on my kitchen table across from the empty chair where I'd stopped expecting anyone to sit. It wasn't closure. It was a beginning. The next day, I went to a UPS store on the edge of town, a padded envelope in my hand. Inside was a thumb drive labeled Santos Wedding Expenses Final and a folded letter I'd written but never sent. I was always there. You just built a life that worked better without me. I paid in cash, no return address, and walked out. Back home, I deleted the family's shared cloud album, unfollowed Leo, muted Mom and Dad. I brewed a cup of chamomile, set it on the table, and swapped out the last wedding photo, a blurry shot of me behind a waiter, for one of me in Acadia. Wind in my hair, no filter. The old photo went face down on the shelf. Tessa, the planner, emailed a day later. Received the documents. Understood. No thanks, no sorry. It was enough. I wasn't looking for their regret. I was looking for my own peace. They asked me to watch the wedding from a distance. So I did. And from that distance, I watched their story crumble. Not because I tore it down, but because I stopped holding it up. Everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through the hurt, the quiet rebellion, and the moment I chose myself. If this story hit you, hit that subscribe button and join us where every empty chair at the table tells a story of resilience, truth, and a new start. Keep carving your own path, and I'll meet you at the harbor.